There are difficult problems when it comes to Elon Musk and the idea of freedom of speech. Nigel Farage's latest clash with Musk highlights a fascinating intersection of influence, free speech and political ambition. And as Musk criticises Farage's leadership of Reform UK, and who wouldn't, and endorses far-right figures like Tommy Robinson, and that seems a bit of a stretch, and comments on Reform's potential, which I think is probably as great as the Conservatives' potential at the moment. They're both going down the sewer. We're left with the question about how personal opinions of the world's richest man, also the owner of Twitter, shape public discourse and political realities, and whether or not he has a right to free speech. Farage's insistence on educating Americans about Robinson's troubled history is as much about preserving Reform UK's image as it is about countering Musk's narrative. And Musk's tweets supporting Robinson and his criticism that Farage doesn't have what it takes to lead Reform UK are designed to provoke, to poke, to tease. And yet Farage, ever the political strategist, refrains from outright war, praises Musk's heroic achievements while distancing himself from Robinson's toxic brand. Now, Farage's balancing act is further complicated by the proximity of his campaign to Musk's involvement in reform. Reports of Musk's potential $100 million donation to the party underscore the paradox. How does one reject Musk's meddling while courting his financial largesse? The Reform leader's trip to the US for Donald Trump's inauguration offers, of course, an opportunity for rapprochement, but it also underscores his precarious position. An alliance too close risks alienating moderates, while outright hostility risks losing financial and media momentum. Musk's involvement in this saga underscores his unique place in this global discussion. The problems are, first of all, his position. He has amplified influence. His pronouncements, even when casual, ripple across politics and markets because of who he is. And when people have that element of power, when somebody who is powerful says something to you, you do it because they're powerful. Somebody else who's not powerful can say something to you and you don't do it because they're not powerful. So somebody can use their power and their influence to, what's the word now? Could it possibly be bully? You can't really be bullied by somebody who is smaller than you or has less influence than you. Well, you can, but it's harder. Somebody who is bigger than you and has greater power than you, what they say, what they do can easily become bullying, even if what they're saying is the same as what someone else might be saying. Position and power colour what somebody says, and particularly with Musk. Musk's pronouncements are amplified in a way that mine or yours would not be. And it positions him not just as a commentator with free speech, but as a power broker. And therefore he has to be significantly more careful about what he says than you or I. Then, as the owner of Twitter, he has a platform that again pushes his power, and he controls the infrastructure underpinning modern political dialogue. He controls the biggest platform on social media. His selective amplification of figures like Robinson, while deplatforming others, raises questions about whether his vision of free speech aligns with broader democratic principles, with principles of fairness, with principles of equity. And then there are the contradictions as Musk portrays himself as a free speech absolutist, which is increasingly at odds with his actions, from suspending journalists to promoting partisan agenda to, well, basically his behaviour invites accusations of hypocrisy. So is he free to say what he likes? That's questionable. Should he say what he likes? That's certain he shouldn't. Farage's approach to Musk encapsulates the challenge of engaging with influential figures who can both elevate and undermine political movements and global movements. Musk's endorsement of Robinson risks entangling Reform UK in far-right associations. It risks anchoring Reform UK in exactly what Farage has tried so hard to avoid any direct connection to. Of course, that connection is there. Don't be in any doubt about that. But Farage would rather we didn't know. And Farage's statement to LBC today, we're a political party aiming to win the next general election. He's not what we need, is a direct attempt to reclaim the narrative. And this feud between Farage and Musk occurs in the middle of broader shifts in social media power, with Meta's pivot to community notes following Nick Clegg's departure. Farage celebrates this as woke is dead, woke is dead, woke is dead. Well, it's framing it as a victory for free expression, and yet he doesn't quite like the free expression of Musk. Well, who does? This celebratory rhetoric contrasts sharply with the complexity of Musk's role. His platform may enable broader speech, but increasingly reflects a personal agendum. And that may be exactly what happens with Meta, with Facebook. The interplay between Farage and Musk exemplifies the tension between individual freedom and collective responsibility. And Musk's interventions highlight the challenges of unregulated influence in an era when billionaires command political and media platforms. For Farage, the task is to harness Musk's resources without surrendering Reform UK's autonomy. That's almost impossible, I would have thought, and that will define his leadership, Farage's leadership, for the next few years, I suspect. Because I don't think Farage is going to go anywhere. I don't think he's really going to achieve that much. I think he's achieved as much as he can. But to dismiss Farage would be a mark of foolishness. And for me to dismiss Farage would be to stand in the shoes of Mr. Musk and say that he's not got what it takes. I'm afraid Farage has got a great deal. Farage has got a great deal, and he's been extremely successful with the great deal that he has wielded so far. Can he go further? I think not. But I'm not going to be the person to make that judgment call with any form of decision. I'm going to prevaricate, and I'm going to qualify anything that I try and say. But I don't think there's an alternative to Farage for Reform UK. And I think if Farage is thrown out, he'll start another party. It would just be the same thing again. But I don't think that Farage has the statesmanship to be Prime Minister, whatever his ambitions might be, in the same way as I can't really imagine Kemi Badenoch in number 10, can you? It just isn't credible. And Farage will always entertain, but that's it. He entertains like Tommy Cooper, just like that. And there's not much more to it. Highly entertaining. Always listen to Farage. Always watch Farage because he does the job very well. But it's not going to last.